Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Hello. I am so excited to welcome Amaya Shiva to our interview today. Please tell my audience why this topic. Why? I know why, but tell them why they need to know.
Yes. So, what we're talking about today is sex and intimacy and why it's so important as a culture that we reclaim sexuality as innocent, wholesome, and natural. Because there's so much sexual shame and trauma uh, in this country that needs to be addressed at the root. And I believe that that root cause is coming from suppression of your natural urges, believing that you're bad or naughty for wanting to experience the pleasure that was built into your body by the divine, in my opinion. And I'm here to help eradicate not only nefarious behaviors that happen from repression, but to give people permission slip to enjoy their human sexuality and to enjoy pleasure.
I love that. I love that. I come from a culture, it's pretty repressed.
Yes.
I know you all noticed, but I'm Asian.
My
So
stepmother is Taiwanese. I grew up with Asian people.
I was born in Taiwan.
Hey, there you go.
There you go. You're like my sister from another mister or mama. Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
So I love that the fact that, well, I mean, currently now, right? Taiwan is one of the first places to legalize same-sex marriage.
Oh, really?
And
I didn't
yeah,
know that.
they're actually very quite forward, even though there are still regions that are very old-fashioned, very patriarchal, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Taipei proper is pretty advanced in certain aspects of social development, as it were. For me, as a breast cancer survivor, and I went into early menopause,
Mm-hmm.
this whole topic is relevant for a lot of people who are starting to realize that we're all trauma survivors. And one of the best ways to health is through intimacy, isn't it, Amaya?
100%. And I love that you brought that up, Jenny, because in my career, I've supported hundreds of both singles and couples from around the world, and I have two areas that I really specialize in, and I help conscious men and women, conscious professionals, overcome insecure attachment styles and body shame so that they can have fun while dating and create a sexy and sacred relationship. And I also help people who have gone from, you know, being happily married to feeling like they're roommates and like, where is the romance? And one of the things that is so ubiquitous is body shame, right? And especially when you go through a big transition, like breast cancer survivors, my grandmother was a breast cancer survivor and she had a double mastectomy. And, I remember like as a little kid going into her closet and seeing her bras with like the fake breasts. And that was a really important part of her identity. But there's a lot of the sense that people have in our culture that you need to have a certain body type in order to be worthy of pleasure and desire. And that is simply not true. So, one of the big things that I work with all of my clients on is how do we love our bodies exactly how they are, where they are, because that's such a big part of creating the intimacy that you have been craving.
That's key. You're giving me chills.
Mm.
Audience, are you listening to this? Because few of us get this big sister talk really, whether you're male, female, or you identify outside of that binary, right?
Hmm.
I'm going to take this moment right now because I hope you're getting as much chills as I am and direct you to get your stuff from Amaya right now. So if you go to amayashiva.com, AMAYASHIVA.com, I'm going to repeat it again, AMAYASHIVA.com. When you click on that, first of all, a cool little pop comes up that talks about downloading Amaya's 5-step guide to great sex. Why? Where were you when I was first recovering from early menopause and because I was thrown into menopause from chemotherapy, right?
Yes.
And then once you download that, again, it says, this is the info I wish I had 10 years ago. Hello. And then you can also apply for a free consult with her. Why is this important, folks? You are hearing this because it's essential that you get a guide to help you down this pathway. I didn't know, and this is TMI moment, folks, okay? I was thrown into early menopause, which meant I was at high risk for a physical thing that happens to your body called vaginismus. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a shortening of the vaginal canal. And that because of how painful it was, right? Once you're in menopause, it's really uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what kind of lube you use, it just hurts.
Yeah.
And then, there's less um, deeper insertion of the part that you want in you. And then it gets shorter and shorter because your body takes away what you don't need,
Yeah.
right? And then that made me prone to UTIs,
Mm.
which I did not know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that is something that is also needed, like to share that information with women, especially so that you can do something about it. One of the biggest things to remember is that it's also a muscle for women, right? And when you use it, you retain use of it. Um, I follow a lot of more traditional Taoist practices, and you'll see some really interesting stuff. Like they have yoni eggs. I'm not sure if you've heard of those before. Yes, I see a nod. And
Yes, 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 yes.
yes, right. So they actually have these practices that keep that part of your body in shape, right? Because that's really, it's the whole pelvic floor is so important for containing your life force, right? Your dantian, it's all connected. So thank you so much for bringing that up because that is something that needs to be addressed. And and the truth is that most people, most women don't even know their erotic blueprint type. They don't actually know what they need to experience deep turn on and connection.
Oh, you're speaking my language. Folks, this is so I met Amaya at an event in Orlando just a few short weeks ago, a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and
Hmm.
I am so excited that we connected because this is really apropos. Most women are not taught. We have unique blueprints of what helps us become aroused. I'm going to use those words. I'm an
Yes.
elder in training. I'm totally
Yes.
comfortable talking about it. For me, Amaya, one of the things that helped me was there's this tool because I'm almost beyond those tools right now because my tissue was so thin. A TMI moment, folks, just to warn you, deal with it. It is what it is. Women, you talk about it. My tissue was so thin that even inserting one of those tiny Q-tips
Hmm.
for a yeast infection, it would come out bloody. That's how bad it was. So doing any type of insertion was like very painful, and because they would, oh, you must have a yeast infection. I actually had UTI, and what's the only thing that's been helpful for me at this moment was the Joy Lux machine. Have you seen those? Have you heard of those? The red light therapy in my hoo-ha.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And it actually brings up a really important point that I teach my clients and students. And that is the difference between performative based paradigms of sex, which believe that you must have penetration and that you must have an orgasm in order for it to be a successful experience. And this is in big contrast to the pleasure based paradigm that I teach people, which says that those things don't actually matter. And what really matters is being in such deep attunement and presence with yourself and your partner. right? And being able to find the erotic in the body parts that you've been neglecting, like just the skin on your forearms or your elbows and in your neck. Um, and I really came to this path because I myself struggled with intimacy when I was married. So I was in a 10-year marriage, and it felt like we were roommates a lot of the time. And I didn't understand why I wasn't able to get turned on because he's a very attractive man. So it wasn't that, but something was missing. And after we got divorced, I was like, well, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to make that mistake in my life of feeling like so trapped and confused while I'm in partnership. And then I learned that I'm an energetic blueprint type, and that for me, genital penetration is like not the thing that I'm seeking. Can it be enjoyable? Yes, but it's not like the thing I focus on. And so, one of my big missions is to give people a permission slip to redefine sensual experiences beyond just penetration or orgasm.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited. I'm singing about this entire episode of Maya. For me, married over 30 years. We're nearing, because what month are we in right now? I want this podcast to be an evergreen. However, I'm approaching my 33rd anniversary. So I've been with this gentleman almost 40 years, right? And we've shifted and grown so much. And he's this amazing husband who, like, his energetic blueprint and my energetic blueprint are so different. Are so different. And he's been so patient, with all the things that we've gone through. And I have been patient with him because he also had testicular cancer for a bit of time and that recovery. So the fact that this topic has come up is a lot of us don't talk about this. We don't talk about our unique life experiences that are influencing the intimacy in our relationships, right? And so if we don't know how to speak on it, how can you ask for it? For me, doing belly dancing that move the pelvic area, like what does that mean? What do you mean? Tilt my pelvis and wiggle my butt back and forth. What in the world does this mean? Why does this feel kind of cool? Very few of us are given permission to even do that, to feel comfortable in our bodies. Right? And Amaya, speak on that because for me, I had to feel safe in my body first before I could start asking for pleasure giving or giving pleasure.
100%. And I love that you brought that up. I'm also a dancer. I've trained classical Indian dance. I do two-step dancing here in Austin, Texas. It's one of my favorite things to do. And you're right, emotional and nervous system safety preclude any uh, deep sensual experience, right? Because if you're not feeling safe, if you're feeling checked out or worried about what's going to happen, is this going to hurt me? Is this going to be weird if I ask for it? What are they going to think? All of those things take you out of the moment. And so, one thing that I teach is a framework called RBDSM. I didn't make it up, but I do share it with my students. I have a podcast about it actually, where you can go check it out. And it gives you the conversation, the questions that you need to ask and answer in order to create that safety for yourself.
Ooh, okay, so I know some of the audience members listening right now, Amaya, they're like, uh. No, 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 no. I cannot believe Jenny had a Maya, come on. And they're talking about private parts. Go to Dance and Heal, HEAL.com. All right. And you just get access to 1 hour with me where you do a cardio dance class and then some myofascial release exercises. And then come back and listen to this episode. And I bet you your body will tell you this is really important for you. Oftentimes, we're so disconnected that if you get a visceral reaction to something, whether or not it's positive or not so positive, you need to be paying attention to why. All right. And if you're all gung ho, go to both. Go to amayashiva.com and danceandheal.com, and make use of these methods to get back into your body immediately so you know what you need,
Yes.
right?
Mm. I love that you're saying that because that is so important. And, in the book that I'm writing, one of the things I touch on quite a bit is how most people's first experience of pleasure, you're a little kid, you find this part of your body that when you rub it on something, it feels good, is then immediately associated with shame and punishment because most parents don't want you to touch yourself in a public setting, right? Because it's taboo. And so they see you do it, they yell at you. So your very, very first little mind impression of pleasure is immediately associated with shame and secrecy, right? So a big part of this work is also teaching our generations how to communicate with younger generations about the pleasure parts on their body. Like instead of yelling at them, say, hey, I know that that feels pleasurable. This is something that we do in private in our rooms. Because what you're talking about, when there is that visceral experience, it comes from conditioning, right? Because guess what? I am here as a result of sex. I believe you are too. And I believe most of the people listening were a product of sex, right? So why the shame about it, right? It's not yours. It's been conditioned.
Oh, I totally agree. And so we do need to address one big type of elephant in the room, folks, and I'm going to talk about this. And again, this is a trigger warning, okay? Oftentimes, children are in situations of molestation or sexual assault, SA. And we don't understand that some of that shame associated when we are aroused has to do with those memories we haven't necessarily addressed or even acknowledging from our past. We don't have enough wherewithal for parents to learn more about this stuff to keep their kids safe. That's just a fact. More and more research is coming out that more adults now we have unresolved complex PTSD issues, and that's just the fact. We're not talking about the big T, little t. I'm talking about actual inappropriate situations with adults that we were entrusted into. Okay, so this type of situation, you really, besides working with Amaya and myself to resolve those, you want to find a very trusted therapist that is gifted and experienced in that to keep you safe. All right, because I have a child that we discovered was suffering from a lifetime of masking from SA as a 3-year-old, and we did not know. And we did not know, and we were lucky we had a therapist who knew it from day one and never brought it up until my child said, "Oh, I think this happened." 3 years into therapy, right? So we're not seeking for you to be like, oh, I was definitely SA'd. We're not saying that. We're saying that if you have shame associated with what we're talking about, it may be something you want to get into your body and get some answers in safe settings. We don't want you to do it by yourself, okay? Please, please, please. We're not asking to self-diagnose. We're just saying you're meant to hear this particular episode if you're listening to this right now. We're telling you there are resources. Amaya has a really cool offerings on her website. Again, amayashiva.com, and then you go to mine, danceandheal.com, so that you have some resources to get into your body, right, Amaya? And then ask yourself, do I need more help? All right. And then I don't know if you've noticed, I've noticed since the pandemic, that there's more online therapists available to you, right? You don't want to go this alone. We heal in community, don't we, Amaya?
100%, and that's why you and I both work online. And I was at a workshop recently, 2 weekends ago, before the Orlando one. I was at a leadership conference, and I would say about 45% of the people there had experienced some kind of sexual trauma when they were young. And so there are also people who have not,
Yeah.
who also still experience shame because um, good girls don't have sex. good boys don't have sex, right? There are all these stories that we are internalizing about what we need to do in order to be presentable and lovable and keep our space in the tribe, which is why being in community with people who can have adult, open, mature conversations about their sexuality is so key. So glad that you brought that up.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to this space where I feel we've both been so comfortable together talking about taboo topics that really should not be taboo. I
Mhm.
mean, okay, I'm gonna tell you all a TMI story. You ready, Amaya? And then I'm gonna have you tell a story, not as intimate if you don't want to, okay? So all the men who were squeamish, I'm sorry, but you need to hear stories about this too. All right. I was at a Bible camp and my monthly menses came and we were gonna go to the lake. And someone handed me a tampon, the cardboard ones from 53 million years ago. And she handed it over to me over the toilet stall and said, "Here, just stick this in." No one told me to remove the cardboard. I walked a mile with the cardboard still inside, not understanding and not realizing that the pain is not natural. I need those situations for other young women and men to stop,
Yeah.
right? So you don't have to share a story like that, but what is the last thing that
Oh,
you want to share with the audience before we have you come back another time?
yes, yeah. Well, on that note, like the first time that I had intercourse, it was very painful. I was nowhere near where I needed to be in terms of personal safety and arousal, but I did it because I thought I was supposed to, right? I thought I needed to do this in order, to be a part of my peer group. I felt late compared to the other kids. Um, now I'm calling them kids, right? Because that's what it feels like from my age of 43 now. I'm like, wow, that was wild. And that was an experience that I repeated numerous times in my life where I was having intercourse, I was having sex before I was actually physically ready and emotionally ready because I felt some kind of internal pressure and I was following this performative based paradigm. And that's when I was in the basic level of consciousness, right? We have 5 levels of erotic and emotional intelligence. And the bottom one is where you're doing that kind of stuff. So the invitation is that through learning these skills, through learning about your erotic blueprint, understanding emotional attunement, and having powerful conversations about your desires and your boundaries, you can jump levels and you can enter the conscious or even embodied level where communion is really a sacred experience where you feel like you are blessed every single day to be in the partnership that you have. All your friends are looking at you and going, I want that. What are they drinking? And that's possible with the right framework. So I really want to invite a feeling of possibility into your awareness, into your vision for yourself and your intimate life.
Thank you so much, Amaya, for coming today, audience members. We're gonna have to have her come back and do like a part 2. Okay? So we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Bye.
so much for having me.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit outsideinrecovery.com. Are you ready to move?